think, Eddie, if you're good, I'm good. We're a couple minutes in, so we'll catch a few people as they join. I'll just briefly introduce myself. I'm Adam Garreau. I lead customer success here at Sponsor Pulse. Eddie's also very active with our customer base and making sure everybody gets what they need. Today, I think you signed up, you're here. We're excited to have you. We'll be talking about sales and prospecting tips. Many people use our platform, brands, agencies, properties. And today, Eddie's going to be putting on the hat of a property that's looking to maximize the value they get from our data and our platform on sales and prospecting. Please, as we go, Eddie will be leading the discussion here, but you can throw questions in the Q&A. I'll be the one collecting. I'll come back at the end and lob some of those in Eddie's direction to get either a little additional show and tell, or maybe a quick demo. Or we can always follow up. So please don't hesitate to add things to the Q&A that might need a one-on-one discussion or just a deeper connection. So without further ado, Eddie Sedani is here, knows the platform inside and out, and is very prepared and excited to show you how you can use it for property sales and prospecting. So over to you, Eddie, and I'll be back at the end.
Thank you for the introduction and the kind words, Adam. And again, welcome and thank you to everyone for joining us today. As Adam said, over the next 40 minutes or so, we're going to try to keep it a little bit shorter, give you some time back, but over the next 35-40 minutes, we're going to go through the Sponsor Pulse platform and demonstrate how you can use it to help with your sales and prospecting tips, particularly if you are a property. A lot of familiar faces on the call today, so thank you for the support. Thanks for everyone coming through. For the new faces, thanks for checking us out. Don't worry, we're going to go through, we're going to show you how to sign up for the platform if you don't already have an account. That won't take very long. And then we're going to dive into the platform itself, play around with the data insights a little bit. And like I said, over the next 30-35 minutes, hopefully you can walk away feeling more comfortable on how to use our platform to bolster that pitch. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's minimize this. Oh, what's going on here? There we are. So first thing is first is we actually have to show you how to sign up for an account if you have never done so before. Again, no, we mentioned this session is being recorded, so don't feel like you need to go through step by step with us. We are going to be sharing the video with everyone who's here today, so just sit back, relax, and kind of enjoy the show, if you will. But for those of you who do want to follow along, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to sponsorpulse.com. So that's www.sponsorpulse.com. This is our marketing site. You're going to see all kinds of information about who we are, our role in the industry, the different solutions we have. But again, for the sake of this demo, we're just going to go ahead and click try for free. Once you come here, you're going to type in your name, your email address, your password. You'll go ahead. The platform will ask you a few questions about yourself, or are you property, brand, agency? Are you looking to understand a certain cut of the population? Are you interested in sport, music, lifestyle, entertainment, etc.? Essentially, the platform is trying to learn as much about you as it possibly can, so that it can go ahead and populate the dashboard for you. So actually, I can't, how do I? There we are. Okay. So we're going to go ahead, close these windows, and we're going to sign in with our demo account. And here we are. So we've logged into Sponsor Pulse. We have our account set up. It takes us 2 seconds, maybe 5 at best. And here we are at the dashboard. Now, the dashboard is going to show you a lot of relevant insights. Essentially, it's going to show you some of the things to get your juices going, to get you thinking about what this platform can deliver for you. If you've never visited Sponsor Pulse before, it's a good way to get started. Again, it takes as much information as learned about you from the, when you first signed up, populated this page with relevant insights for yourself. So in the middle here, you're going to see recommended insights. For the demo account, I set it as, we're interested in sport properties and we were interested in certain purchasing categories. So first thing we see is the top sport properties listed by consumers who have ordered food for an app, or the top sport properties amongst consumers who have visited a home improvement store. Again, just giving you an idea of what this platform can deliver if this is your first time really coming here. At the top right, there's a poll that we've already answered. Again, asking, which brand category do you believe is delivering the greatest sponsorship impact? You can go ahead and select the option you believe most to be true. We publish the results in our monthly newsletter, have a lot of fun with those. So go ahead and, continue to submit those answers as the polls get released each week. At the bottom, you'll see some of our latest reports. These are our more high value downloads. For those who are unfamiliar, Sponsor Pulse does a lot more than just this platform. We do impact reports, so measurement, we do valuation, audience network, and you'll find a lot of information and examples of those different products towards the bottom of the page under latest reports. And lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the benchmark report. This is an initiative that is going to be officially launched next week, I believe, but you do get a first peek at it if you're a subscriber to the platform. It's a benchmark report that focuses exclusively on impact measurement, sponsorship measurement. Our clients are constantly talking to us about measurement, the importance of measurement, asking, what is considered best in class? What are the brands that are doing it best? What are some of the activations that we've seen in the past that really rise to the top? And this report, I got to give kudos to the team for putting it together. It is full of valuable insight, incredible numbers, very insightful. It's not one of these reports that just has numbers that you don't really do anything with. It's designed for you to take away some insights that you can go in action in your day-to-day. So I want to give kudos to the team for putting this together. I'm not going to go through it really today. I just wanted to touch on it. Again, it's going to be officially launched next week, but if you do have a subscription, you can go ahead and read it today. So we did a webinar a few months ago, and we kind of came at that webinar from the point of the brand. We took the position as if we were a brand in the United States looking to intercept consumers through sport. We got a lot of feedback from those who attended the webinar and those who saw it afterwards saying, that's fantastic, but what about on the property side? Can you show us how to use the platform as a sales tool if you can at all? And number two, we see a lot of time spent in the sport landscape. Can you maybe touch on a different area? So absolutely. What we're going to do today is we're going to put ourselves in the shoe of a cause. So I figured something completely out of the entertainment space. Let's go ahead and pretend that we're coming from it as a cause or a charitable property. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to be the SPCA today, the Society for Prevention Against Cruelty to Animals. And we're going to use the Sponsor Pulse platform as if we are looking to bolster a pitch, tell a compelling narrative, and try to get some sponsored dollars through data. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and type in SPCA. Now, before we dive into the data and start talking about the metrics and the methodology and all that jazz, it might be important to give you a bit of an itinerary so you can follow along as to what pages I'm visiting when I'm going through the platform, and most importantly, understanding why I'm visiting these pages. On the sales and prospecting side of things, we're going to imagine as if we're building the pitch from the beginning all the way to the end. So at Sponsor Pulse, we do have a templated pitch that we're happy to share with you. We have a templated letter, a sponsored proposal letter that we're happy to share with you. We're not going to actually be putting the numbers into a deck today. I'm just going to walk you through the platform so you can understand where to find this data, how to use this data, and so that when it is time to actually put it into your pitch, you remember how to navigate the platform and which metrics to use to tell, a certain part of the story. We're going to start with a snapshot report. The snapshot report is that 30,000-foot level, understanding what is the property health in the market. So we'll talk about engagement percentages, we'll talk about the methodology here, we'll talk about the other metrics and go over the definitions. But essentially, this is the page you're going to start with where you're telling the story of who you are. So again, we're going to be using the case today of the SPCA. So who is the SPCA in Canada? What is the percentage of the population engaged with us? What is the percentage of the population who's emotionally connected, et cetera, et cetera. From there, we're going to go straight to the Analyze a Property page because we're going to start prospecting. Again, we're looking to bring on a new partner. We're looking to identify key white space categories. Who should we be considering? Why? What is the data that justifies kind of that approach? Once we settle on a specific category, we're going to hypothesize, okay, we're going to come up with some brands in that space. Then we're going to go to the Compare Properties page. We're going to tell the story of who we are versus our competition. So we're going to show the SPCA versus other properties who we would say might be vying for the same sponsorship spend. And then we're going to go back into the Analyze a Property page, and we're going to articulate whether or not we can deliver our prospects audience from a demographic, category, and brand point of view. Sounds like a lot. I know. Don't worry. It's going to be great. So first thing, SPCA, let's go ahead and we'll view our property in our market of Canada, okay? And before we talk about the opportunity rank or the opportunity score, it is important for us to cover the methodology. I know a lot of you are already familiar with Sponsor Pulse data or just consumer research in general, but it is important to cover. So how do we collect our data? What we do is we talk to consumers, just like yourselves and us. We tap into a panel provider, Dynata, who's one of the largest in the world. They're incredible at what they do. And they have a panel that's nationally representative of the population. So we tap into that panel, we survey these respondents, data comes back to us, we upload it onto this platform. We ask the consumers about their behaviors and their attitudes towards different sponsorship properties. We also ask them about their demographic information, purchasing behaviors, digital usage behaviors, brand preferences, etc. Again, all of that data comes to us. We upload it onto this platform, and then subscribers like yourselves can have access to these insights without having to go back and forth with us, email. Subscription-based model, a subscription to the platform is $99 a month or $948 a year, I believe, if you want to save 20%. But essentially, it's a self-service model. You can log in. There's no commitment necessary. You get access to an entire market's worth of data. And again, it's kind of the concept here is to equip you with best-in-class data so that you can go ahead and make a better informed decision when it comes to your sponsorship marketing efforts. So that's how we collect our data. A few numbers that we need to go by or that we need to talk about before we dive in. Magic number that I want you to remember is 150. Nothing will show up on this platform if there's less than 150 completed surveys. That's just for rigor's sake. Once we get to 150 completed surveys, even for a population the size of Canada, you have about a plus minus 7-8% variance in any of the metrics. So 150 is a magic number. Once you get to about 1,000 to 2,000 completed surveys, you're looking about a plus minus 2 to 3% variance in any of the metrics. And in this case, for the SPCA, we have spoken to 14,652 respondents. So great sample here. But again, making sure that we have sufficient sample on the platform and we have processes and policies in place to make sure that the data is rigorous. Moving on, I do want to address kind of the way we approach our metrics, starting with engagement all the way down to consideration and brand favorability. Engagement sits at the top. Imagine it to be like a funnel, with engagement being the top of the funnel metric, essentially the percentage of the population that the property reaches. And then the following metrics, intensity all the way down to favorability, are percentages of that engaged cohort. Don't worry, I'm going to cover it again. But know that engagement is that first funnel, that first metric that encapsulates the percentage of the population that our property actually reaches. So John Doe takes our survey and we ask John Doe about the SPCA or about other properties such as the NHL, for example. The first thing we ask is, have you done any of the following with this property in the past 12 months? For a sport property such as the NHL, we will ask, have you attended an event live? Have you streamed an event on television? Have you streamed an event online? Have you purchased merchandise? Have you shared something on social media? Have you recommended to a friend? Have you placed a sporting bet? I think there's about 7 or 8 questions we ask. And if they say yes, then they have technically engaged with that property. It's not attitudinal based, it's all behavioral based. So if it's an intended behavior that we've asked them about and they say, yes, I have done this behavior with the property, we consider that consumer to have engaged with the property in the past year. For causal properties and charities, we switch up the questions a little bit. We're not asking anyone if they've placed a bet on SPCA or if they've placed a bet on sick kids. What we do is we shift the questions a little bit. So we ask, have you volunteered your time? Have you donated any money? Again, doing our best to represent the consumer's voice as accurately as possible and demonstrating the overall reach that the property has in the market. With regards to the SPCA, which is going to be our use case for today, we see that 34% of the population that we've spoken to have engaged with the SPCA in some form or another. Okay? So 34% of Canadians that we've spoken to have engaged with the SPCA in some form or another in the past 12 months. And when we translate that to a population, that's equivalent to just over 8.4 million Canadians. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, how's that possible? Because 8.4 million is not 1/3 of the Canadian population. All of our data is collected between the ages of 13 to 64. The reason for that is because that's where the majority of purchasing decisions are made when it comes to market research. Our methodology is between the consumers of age 13 to 64. So 34% of consumers that we've spoken to in Canada have engaged with the SPCA. That's over 1 in 3 Canadians. And again, that translates to just over 8.4 million consumers. The following metrics, intensity all the way down to brand favorability. These are percentages of the engaged cohort. And if you ever need a reminder, just hover over the little information bubble there, and you can see intensity is the percentage of those engaged. Again, reminding you, it's a percentage of this engaged group. Intensity is the metric that captures those who are coming back on at least a weekly basis. So Mr. John Doe completes our survey. He says, yes, I have engaged with the SPCA. Fantastic. He now gets entered into the next round of questions. We asked Mr. John Doe, how frequently are you engaging with the SPCA? Are you doing so on an annual, a monthly, a weekly, or a daily basis? Again, the purpose of this demo is going to become from the selling side. So as we go through the metrics, I'm going to explain why these metrics are important to brands. Starting with intensity, it's one thing to know the percentage of the population that the brand is actually going to intercept, but it's another thing to let them know if there's frequency for them to intercept and add value as a sponsor. Typically, sport properties will have a higher intensity rating just given the frequency of competition. The Super Bowl, for example, or sorry, the NFL, you have preseason, you have regular season, you have postseason, you have the Super Bowl, there's the combine, there's the draft. It's a 12-month product, right? There's a lot of opportunity to intercept and add value as a partner. Something that's a little more annual in nature. One example I like to use is the Oscars, especially because it just finished. There's showtime. They might ramp up promotions and communications 1 or 2 months beforehand. We come to Oscar date, Oscar Sunday, we have the event, and then things cool off a little bit as they strategize to prepare for the following year. So again, demonstrating to the brand, number 1, you're going to be able to intercept X amount of people. Number 2, this is the percentage of that group you're going to be able to intercept frequently. Number 3, momentum. This is our metric that captures the percentage of those who say that their interest is only going to increase over the next year. So we asked John Doe, have you engaged with the property? Yes. How frequently are you engaging with the property? And we say, is your interest likely to increase with SPCA over the next year? Great indication for growth. Again, talking to the brands, we know that it's important, number 1, not only to intercept people and to intercept them frequently, but also, is there opportunity, is there potential for them to benefit from the associations of this partnership, not only today, but 1, 2, 3 years down the line? And so momentum is a great metric to capture that, growing interest in a property. Is there room for you to grow with that property as your logos sit side by side? Next, our emotional connection metrics. So this is excitement and passion. We ask the consumers very objectively, very black and white, do you consider yourself to be excited about the property? Do you consider yourself to be passionate about the property? Now, John Doe comes to our survey. He's filling out all these questions. Answers on momentum. We ask, are you excited about the property? Are you passionate about the property? It's not a sliding scale. It's not a Likert scale or 1 to 7. It's very, yes or no. Reason for that is because if he can't tell us that he's excited, then he probably isn't. And it's an important metric to know because, again, coming from the brand side of things, they want to know not only am I going to intercept a lot of people, am I going to be able to intercept them frequently and into the future? But am I going to intercept my target audience in spaces and areas that are important to them? Am I going to show up in spaces that are salient in my target audience's life? So I want to know not only where there's a lot of people, but I also want to know, is my target audience excited about this property? Do they care about this property? Is this something they're passionate about? And can I benefit from that? So again, we see here 42% of the Canadian population who have engaged with the SPCA claims to be excited about the property and what it has to offer, and 24%, so that's almost 1 in 4 consumers who are engaged with the property say that they're passionate about it. They identify as passionate about the SPCA. And our last 2 metrics, our impact metrics, when building out a sponsorship pitch, these are crucial. This is really where Sponsor Pulse sets itself apart from the rest. We're looking at purchase consideration and brand favorability. So this is the percentage of those engaged who say they're likely to consider purchasing from a brand that sponsors this property, or they're likely to be more favorable of a brand that sponsors this property. Again, understanding the top of the funnel engagement, we've gotten them into our ecosystem. We're intercepting them frequently. They're emotionally connected. They're excited and passionate. And lastly, we're able to impact them. We're able to increase conversion, so increase purchase consideration and brand favorability. Now, these two questions are asked completely agnostic of brand. We don't ask, like, for example, I'll use the NHL again. We don't ask anyone, are you more likely to purchase Tim Hortons because of their sponsorship of the NHL? They might already be a Tim Hortons customer, and we want to do our best to avoid those biases. So we ask this completely agnostic of brand. Are you more likely to consider purchasing from a brand that sponsors this property? Are you more likely to be more favorable of a brand that sponsors this property? And again, these are the 7 metrics. That's pretty much, that's the lifeblood of everything we do here at Sponsor Pulse. And if you ever need a reminder on the definitions of them, just go ahead, hover over the little information bubbles, and you can be reminded of how to use each one and what their definitions are. I'm going to scroll to the top, and I'm going to discuss opportunity score very quickly. Opportunity score is a common currency that we created that allows sponsorship marketing professionals to easily compare and contrast multiple opportunities simultaneously. Admittedly, looking at it alone, it doesn't do you much good. But what you can do is you can use the opportunity score to compare this property versus different opportunities and see, okay, all things considered, how strong of a sponsorship opportunity is this? So the way it works, we take the 7 metrics, we plug them into a fancy formula, and the formula spits out a score. Each of the metrics are assigned a different weighting. That weighting does not change based on if you're a sport property or a music property or a causal property. It's always the same weighting. Again, it's designed to say, all things considered, how strong of an opportunity is this? And then when I'm looking at a portfolio, what are the opportunities that rise to the top? What are the ones I should be considering? Especially when it comes time to selecting a specific one, whether it's a certain property or maybe if I'm selling to a certain demographic, et cetera, et cetera. Now, so we've built out the case of who we are as the SPCA. So step 1 is to understand who we are, right? We understand in Canada, we're the SPCA. This is the percentage who have engaged with us, those who are coming back regularly, those who are emotionally connected to us, and the percentage of those who are likely to be impacted by sponsorship. The first step before we do anything is we need to identify who we're going to talk to. So we have a board meeting and we say, okay, we need to bring on new sponsors. We have a portfolio of existing sponsors already. Who can we talk to? We're not necessarily looking to only upsell those current partners. We're looking to bring on new categories. Can you use Sponsor Pulse for that purpose? The answer is absolutely. You're going to come to analyze a property here. So we're in Canada. We're going to go SPCA. And we're going to go purchasing behaviors. Fantastic. So you're going to see here, there's a lot of different purchasing categories that are available on the platform. There's things such as purchased a smart speaker, used a delivery service, visited the metaverse. We're asking at about over 125 different categories now. For the SPCA, we have at this point 93 available. So a lot of data available on the SPCA in Canada. I'm not going to go through them all because we do have a time limit, and I don't want to take up the entire time just scrolling through our database. So I'm going to go ahead and build out a scenario here. We have a portfolio of existing partners. We come to Sponsor Pulse. We have the categories that rise to the top as significant opportunities. On the left here, total, no filters. This is the general population. So as we scroll through, we can see the different categories that significantly over-index across the board. Again, this is just by opportunity score. We haven't dove into the metrics just yet. We're looking at an all things considered approach. What are some serious categories where a brand would stand to benefit most from a partnership with us? Okay, there's wrecked vehicle, pet food, get a loan. So interesting. Financial institutions, consumers who are in the market to get a loan. We see there's a pretty strong over-index with engagement. So this is the row that I'm looking at here versus the general population here. We see there's an over-index in engagement and many of the other metrics. So fantastic. We've decided amongst our team, we're going to go after players in this space, in this category. We're going to talk to the 5 major banks. We send out some cold emails or maybe some warm introductions happen. and let's say we land a conversation, we'll go ahead and say Scotiabank, okay? So we're talking to Scotiabank, we think, we want to demonstrate to them there's a strong opportunity for us to deliver this category. Is that something they're interested in? Is that one of their objectives right now? What is the brand looking to do in general, and specifically, what are they looking to achieve through sponsorship? And they come back to us and they say, yes, that's interesting. You wrote to us, we are looking to, increase the degree to which we intercept consumers who are looking to get a loan, specifically young consumers. There's a lot of people who are opening up loans for tuition, maybe to purchase a new vehicle, and we see a significant opportunity there. And we think sponsorship might be an avenue for us to achieve that. Awesome. Can we use Sponsor Pulse to demonstrate to Scotiabank that we are a viable opportunity, a sponsorship with us can in fact deliver the audience that they're looking for? Well, let's go ahead. We'll go to the beginning. We'll start here. We're building out our pitch. I'm going to start right back to where we started, SPCA. So at the beginning of the sponsorship deck, you're going to want to demonstrate who you are as a property. Again, articulating the numbers that are going to matter most to Scotiabank, to your prospect. In this case, start from the 30,000 foot level, right? Don't necessarily dive into the category or brand just yet. Start by telling the story of who you are generally, right? This is the percentage of the population that engages with us. This is the percentage of that group who are excited about us, who are, coming back frequently, who say that their interest is only going to go up over the next year. Then from there, go to the compare properties page, okay, and show the strength of your property versus what you would deem to be your competition, right? Build out your competitive landscape. So we're going to come to Canada. We're going to select cause. We see here, we're looking at all of the different causal properties that Sponsor Pulse collects data on in Canada. You'll notice that there's things that aren't specifically the properties, such as animal welfare, cancer research and support, food banks and food security causes. We also collect the data on what we call territories. This is in case brands want to potentially build out their own program, such as the Tim Hortons Smile Cookie or Bell Let's Talk. They do still want to understand consumer engagement and attitudes and sentiment towards these different causes or these territories, so we collect them as well. But we're going to scroll down and find the SPCA. There we are. So all things considered, in the causal space, the SPCA is the 11th strongest sponsorship opportunity based on the opportunity score. Interesting. Can we use the metrics to show where we over-index in this space? Again, I'm sure Scotiabank would love to sponsor all of these properties, but they do have a finite budget, and they do need to make sure that their efforts and their partnerships are delivering, number one, their audience, and delivering what it is exactly that they need to achieve their business equity, vision, and also purposes. So SPCA here, an opportunity score of 25. Let's go ahead and we'll use some of the metrics to see if things change. So engagement. We see engagement, SPCA might fall a little bit down the list. Okay, so probably it's important to know that still 34% of the population is engaging with our property. But we see, it seems here that passion and excitement, there seems to be quite an over-index here. So let's go ahead and filter by something such as passion. And we see that SPCA shoots towards the top of the list. With animal welfare in general, and for those of you who aren't familiar, SPCA is in this territory. So we see 24% of those engaged with each of these properties. So 24% of those engaged with the SPCA are passionate about the property. Again, thinking about what is important to the brand, what is important to Scotiabank. Is brand awareness the most important play? Yes, certainly. But they particularly want to intercept and add value to that target of young consumers who are in the market to get a loan. They want to drive purchase intent, brand favorability, and they want to intercept them in places that they're passionate about. So we see here, general population, 24% say that they are in fact passionate about the SPCA. If we go something like purchase consideration, we see we're also towards the top of the list, and brand favorability, we still make the top 10. So coming to this page to understand where you sit amongst what we would deem to be your competition, building out the competitive landscape is important, right? You want to be able to show through data why, because there's going to be other properties in the landscape that are vying for the same spend. Why should the prospect choose you? What is, the onus is on you to demonstrate that. And again, we've come here and we're just looking at causal properties right now. Another thing that you may want to use this page for is to demonstrate the strength of your opportunity amongst other passion points, okay? Now, not to say that the SPCA is going up against sport properties, but this is something interesting that I like to show. So sport teams and sports in Canada, and I'm also going to select, the SPCA. And we will go by opportunities for. So, in Canada, we've selected sport teams and sports as our passion points, and we've also added the SPCA. Now we know, unsurprisingly, when it comes to overall reach, sport delivers, bar none, the strongest reach in the nation, right? It's a huge part of our culture, especially in Canada, particularly hockey. They're symbiotic in nature when you have hockey and Canadian culture. So we see here, if we filter by engagement, the properties that are going to go to the top of the list are sport properties. However, again, talking to a brand that has very, very strong brand awareness in the nation. Their purpose is to intercept and add value in areas that people are, they claim to be passionate about and that are salient in their lives. So engagement, filtered by passion, we see the SPCA now jumps to the top of the list against some of the strongest sponsorship opportunities or the largest sponsorship opportunities in the nation. If we go something like purchase consideration, or if we filter by brand favorability, we see that the SPCA and many other causal properties as well, but we are the SPCA in this use case, we over-index when it comes to brand favorability and purchase consideration amongst the strongest sponsorship opportunity in the nation, mind you, the NHL. So use this page to tell the story of who you are versus the relative competition. Again, probably gonna want to start showing SPCA versus other causal properties, but then don't be scared to show yourself versus other passion points as well, just to tell that compelling narrative, right? Like, how strong of an opportunity are we? Yes, our engagement sits at this percentage, but when it comes to actually delivering impact, nobody does it better. In fact, we're beating out some of the largest, actually the largest sport properties in the nation, especially if that brand you're talking to is already invested with some of these properties. So something to consider. But now, again, we really want to focus on using the platform to demonstrate to that brand whether or not we can deliver their audience. So we're going to go to analyze a property here. We're in Canada. We are the SPCA. Okay, I'm going to apply that filter. And the first thing we're going to want to start with is demographic. Okay, now there's plenty of demographics available on this platform. Information such as age range, gender, household income, if they identify as LGBTQ+, if there's children in the household. Again, I'm not going to go through all that just to save time today. We're going to focus on, let's say, just youth. Scotiabank has written to us and said, again, we're interested in intercepting consumers aged 13 to 18, but particularly 19 to 24, and those who are in the market to get a loan. So we'll go ahead, we'll select age, and we'll go by engagement. Here we see, again, on the left is the general population, and then following are the different age groups that we've put in our search. Consumers aged 19 to 24, we see that 42% of this segment has engaged with the SPCA in some form or another in the past year. So 13 to 18 years old, we have 38%, 19 to 24 years old, that's 42%. The percentage of these age groups that has engaged with the property in the past year. So we're demonstrating through data, yes, we are delivering your target audience from a demographic point of view. Based on what you've told us, we've checked that off. Fantastic. Next, can we demonstrate that we're delivering from a category point of view? So we've come to purchase behavior. Let's go ahead and we'll select all financial institutions. And we'll go by passion. We'll go ahead and select that. And let's filter by passion. Okay. So we know that we're actually delivering the target audience of the demographic. Next, are we delivering the target audience of the category? So we filter by passion. We can start with engagement if we'd like. We see here 47% of Canadians who say they're in the market to get a loan are engaging with the SPCA. We see those who are in the market to switch a bank, those who are in the market to apply for a credit card. Again, Scotiabank has told us specifically this is what they're most interested in. Of course, the others are cherry on top, but this is one of their key focuses right now is young Canadians looking to open up a loan. And so we see 47% of this category has engaged with the SPCA. And again, I'll go back to passion, and you can see 1 in 3 of those engaged claim to be passionate about the SPCA. Again, demonstrating to the brand that they're going to show up not only amongst their target audience, but in areas that they're passionate about. And lastly, can we show from a brand point of view? So we've demonstrated that we can deliver the audience demographically. We've demonstrated that we can deliver the audience from a purchasing behavior point of view. Lastly, can we deliver the audience from a brand point of view? I'm going to want to go ahead, and there's tons of stuff on here, but for the demo, we're going to scroll down, go to financial institution, and I'm just going to select the 5 major banks. I'm going to go ahead and assume that that is what is most relevant to our prospect, Scotiabank and TD. And then we'll go with engagement, or no, we'll stick with passion. So we see here engagement. This is the percentage of each of the brand users that are engaging with the SPCA. Okay, so strategy number 1 would be retention. Okay, I'm putting you in front of your own customers. So we're showing 34% of Scotiabank customers have engaged with the SPCA in some form or another in the past year. So retention, and then strategy B, acquisition. I'm also putting you in front of the competition. So these are RBC customers, CIBC customers, BMO customers, etc. And an important metric you want to show on this page, you're going to want to go over to impact metrics. So again, purchase consideration. This is the percentage of those engaged, again, amongst each of the brand users that say they're likely to purchase from a brand that sponsors the SPCA. So when we're talking about retention versus acquisition, this is a great way to demonstrate that to the brand. Not only are you going to put yourself in front of your existing customers, but we're also going to be putting you in front of your competition, and they are likely to feel better about sponsors of us. You could also go by brand favorability as well. So again, just a few ways you can demonstrate very quickly how to use Sponsor Pulse and how to leverage data to help bolster that pitch. Again, we've come here to analyze a property, and we've identified a key white space category, right? We looked at our existing partner, our existing portfolio. Many of the partners already have category exclusivity. So we remove those categories from this list, and we're left with categories where a brand would stand to benefit most. We've settled on the financial space. Okay, so the first thing we did, we went and we told our story from a 30,000 foot level. We went into compare properties. We compared ourselves to the competition, and we showed the strength of our property versus those in the same space, and then also the strength of our property versus those in opposite spaces. And then lastly, we dove into the data, and we demonstrated the degree to which we're able to deliver the target audience, the segmentation of that brand from a demographic, from a category, and then from a brand point of view. Lastly, one or two more slides that I do want to show. With Sponsor Pulse, you are able to show trending performance of a property over time. So you can see the ebbs and flows of performance. And you're also able to see the strength of a property across the entire nation. So we'll go ahead and select SPCA. And we can see, particularly in which markets we seem to perform well and which markets we seem to over-index. So that is a very quick demonstration of the Sponsor Pulse platform. I hope I didn't put any of you to sleep, but we do have a few more minutes. So I'm going to hand things back over to Adam to see if there's anything that's come through the question and answer.
Sweet. Thank you, Eddie. That was great. I don't know in the attendee list if anybody here is from the SPCA, but Eddie just did a lot of work that could maybe help if you are. But obviously, we track hundreds of properties with similar depths of information. So I'm going to fire Eddie to you a couple questions that came through, and then we'll wrap on time. But please, if I don't get to your question or you just didn't share your question, you want to know more, reach out to Eddie. We're happy to grab you one-on-one and do a session that gets right into what you need. Eddie, first question. Sounds like it probably came through during the beginning when you flashed the benchmark report up on the screen. Just a question regarding how to access that, where to get it, how do they want to get their hands on the benchmark report?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest answer to that is when you sign up for the platform, it will be at the top of the dashboard. So go to www.sponsorpulse.com, click the login for free. And then once you create your account, it's going to be right at the top, just where we found it in the Pulse area. And I can show that very quickly, just so you can see. It's going to be right here. So when you log in, this is the first page you'll always see when you log into the platform is your dashboard. And it's going to be sitting right at the top here. Benchmark report. You just click read the report and you'll find it all there.
Sweet. I would say thank you, but I was just relaying the question, so I knew that, but that person didn't. So they're probably saying thank you at their screen right now. I think we got time for one more, and then maybe we'll give some time back and can address the rest offline. You alluded to it, but it says last webinar you kind of talked about being able to look at different geographies and compare, at a provincial or state level. Could you go over just quickly for this person where that is? It's new since the last time you were on a webinar like this for the team or for people who signed up. I think maybe just for the shining a light on that again, just to show where it is, how to find it, and how it shows geography.
Yeah, certainly. And to that person, that participant, thank you for attending both webinars. We really appreciate it. Appreciate the support. So on the left here, you can see under use case, this is where all of the different pages will be. There's different ways of accessing them. You can search by property type, by consumer segment. If you go under use case here, you'll see compare by geography. You just select that page and it will bring you here. And then you're able to search any property that you're interested in, and it will show you its performance in each of the markets with a table underneath that will also show you the regions as well. So we have, for example, for the NHL, we have data in Alberta, Manitoba, but we also have, the Western region in this case. So definitely a lot of great data on here, but that's under the use case on the compare by geography page.
Thank you, and I hope that was helpful. And you can obviously see just how popular the NHL is in every corner of Canada. But when you get to other properties, obviously there's more variety. I'm going to close because I think we wanted to hit 45 minutes. So I just want to thank Eddie and then thank everybody for coming, listening, asking questions, engaging. If anything you thought you saw caught your eye or raised additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Eddie, anybody at Sponsor Pulse will be happy to take you through, and have a good rest of your Thursdays.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Adam.